Lesson 4.6, multiplying complex numbers. So we just learned about adding and subtracting complex numbers and realized that was pretty simple. Multiplying isn't much different, except there's one thing we do have to look out for. So let's try our first one and see what happens. Again, if we treat the I like a variable, we'll be good to go. So when we distribute this 4i, that will give us negative 24i. And when I distribute it to the I, that will give me plus 4i squared. Here's where the little bit of difference occurs. If you remember back from the beginning of 4.6 when we first introduced complex or imaginary numbers, you remember I squared is the same thing as negative 1. So we have to remember to place that in. So this gives us negative 24i plus 4 times negative 1. In other words, that gives us negative 24i minus 4, but to put it in standard form of a complex number, we need that real part first, and then the imaginary part. So not much different, except we have to remember anytime we see an I squared, we need to substitute negative 1 in. Let's try number 2. For number 2, you see that we are multiplying two binomials together, which means we're going to have to use the process of FOILing. So we have 9 times negative 4, which is negative 36. 9 times 7i is plus 63i. Negative 2i times negative 4 is positive 8i. And negative 2i times positive 7i is minus 14i squared. Combining our like terms in here, we're going to add 63i and 8i, which is going to give us positive 71i. And again, we have to substitute that negative 1 in for I squared. So we will have negative 14 times negative 1. So we have negative 36 plus 71i plus 14. Continuing to combine our like terms, negative 36 plus 14 gives us negative 22 plus 71i. Next thing we're going to talk about is complex conjugates. We've talked about regular conjugates, and that was when we were rationalizing the denominator in lesson 4.5. A complex conjugate is not much different, except we're using complex numbers. So whereas we had 3 minus 4i, the complex conjugate would be 3 plus 4i. Same concept as before, except we're dealing with complex numbers. We will use that in the next section.